Hello and welcome to another episode of Alternate Future of Adizzpro's WICSO. And so once again, I'm not really that good at intros, so sorry if it's awkward. But we can just get right into it, where we are coming over here because there's going to be some stuff happening in the British Isles, and it is a war between Scotland and this blue Scottish English country. Wrong layer. And this Scottish country is gonna go ahead and invade this blue one. I need to up the tolerance. And they're gonna be going along the coast. This blue country wasn't prepared for this, and this blue country is probably stronger, but Ireland is also helping out this orange country, and so with the Irish helping them out, it looks something like this. I know this doesn't look real great, but they don't really want to border the Dutch, so we're going to just take a look at a peace treaty instead. And this is what we see happening to the blue country. But on top of this, there is a new economical alliance made between Ireland and some of these other nations on the British, or actually Irish Isles. And this is what this alliance looks like, but we actually have another country joining, and that is Norway, another one too, Finland. This is because, these two countries lost a lot of land to both the Dutch and the Russians in their previous war, and this is not a military alliance, but they want to make sure that they can get money back or something. But now we look over here where, something's gonna break out. We see this gold country go neo-authoritarianism, and they want to show off their strength. They'll make the very kind of dumb move to just send their troops right into Russia, and the Russians definitely weren't expecting this, and it's actually kind of frightening how close Crimea gets to the Russian capital city, and these Crimean soldiers are attempting to encircle the city, and they've already captured a lot of land, the Russians are pretty stunned by this. But of course now their army is going to arrive, and when it does, it's going to push back the Crimeans a lot. It's going to push them, all the way out of Russia. And now, actually, I don't know if this is called Crimea or Ukraine. I think Crimea, but now Crimea and Russia are just kind of looking at each other like, are we invading each other or what? And Russia's going to respond to that with an invasion of their own. They are going to go ahead and invade into the northern areas, and their goal right here is to just encircle this large group of Crimean soldiers, and it goes very well. They do that while capturing two major cities, and this group will end up actually surrendering. And that was pretty much the biggest military group in Crimea, and a large portion of their military. So once that happens and other cities start to fall, it's not going too good. Russia is sure to reach the Sea of Azov, something like that. And they go around these other countries' borders, and they're just sliding down the coast, and at this point, we see them make a pretty big attempt to encircle this huge area. This one doesn't go as good, and they end up having to retreat, and but the armies up here are doing a very good job of wiping out any Ukrainian or Crimean areas that are still existing, and the Russians have reached the Black Sea down here and have now reached far into the Crimean Peninsula, where they will isolate the city and eventually capture it. And after a bloody battle, the Russians will capture the capital city of Crimea, and we can take a look at this peace treaty. Oh, and also over here, the ideology of democracy does still, once again, spread over here. Yeah, it still does exist. So, yeah, those neo-authoritarian countries have now switched back. And yeah, so this is once again what happens to Crimea. They are allowed to exist just under very close Russian supervision, but this Russian country over here will actually start to invade Crimea as their navy makes a landing, and they claim this is to make sure democracy prospers, because Crimea is still neo-authoritarianism, or neo-authoritarian, and yeah, the capital city, Crimea, will be captured again, and they'll go against what they just said and just annex Crimea. And the Russians are watching this very closely, but Mesopotamia will basically reach out to this country and say, hey, we're not going to let them invade you. And yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of things happening over here. However, these actions done by Russia and the Dutch, well, the Dutch haven't done much, but will cause other countries to join in on Rome's and, well, pretty much anti-Dutch and now Russian alliance. These two Russian countries over here, and even this one in Istanbul or Constantinople or whatever you want to call it. And kind of surprisingly too, Ireland's going to go ahead and join this. Even though they just got beat pretty hard by the Dutch. Yeah, this alliance is growing pretty big. And it's now looking at a rival of these two. The Diamond Military Alliance. And yeah. Let me think what to do next. So now down here we see that this brown religion, or more of ethnicity, actually starts to kind of reemerge. I'm going to go ahead and see this is a process that's been going on for a while, but yeah, there is a reemergence of this, and well, actually, probably not here. But yeah, so that is good for them. And now we need to take a look at a big war in Africa, because this country over here is, of course, part of the Diamond Alliance. They're also neo-authoritarianism, or I can't talk, neo-authoritarian, and they're going to be calling for help from their allies, and their troops are going to cross into West Africa and just start to kind of just run over all of this, and yeah, it's it's pretty bad. The West Africans do have a pretty big counteroffensive, and it does knock these guys back a little bit, but with the whole alliance in the war, it's not going to go the best. And aside from this, there are also rebels down here. There are rebels from this previous country that existed here, and they're mainly coming out of these other countries over here, and maybe they're supporting them. Actually, that's what it most likely seems like. They've reclaimed all their land, and Libya, they are going to go ahead and make the risky choice, for whatever reason, of declaring war on the Mediterranean country and just wiping through this land. They don't capture the capital, but they get very close to it, and they try to cut it off, and this will cause the Mediterranean troops to fall back a little bit and protect over here, but Egypt will oddly side with the neo-authoritarians and just invade Libya. The capital will pretty quickly fall, and Libya seems to not be doing very good. Libya just seems like they don't ever want to stop expanding, and it's now caused them to completely collapse, and with it their troops, and Egypt will not go any further than this, and just straight up declare that they do not want to be involved in the full scale conflict, and some of these rebellious troops will go ahead and cross the border, and they'll just march up, take this major city, and it's just desert. I don't even know how there's a major city there, but they're just gonna march up, take it, and just to further hurt the West Africans. And aside from this, we see the neo-authoritarians take Gibraltar and land in this area of West Africa. This is a pretty surprising landing, and the Mediterranean troops will now start to dramatically push back, and it's not going very good. The capital of West Africa is captured, and any remaining forces hiding in the desert are knocked out, and this green country right here will join the war last second to just try and take over as much as possible, and with West African troops completely gone, they can do just that, and West Africa will go ahead and surrender over to these countries, and we can take a look at the peace treaty. And this is what we see this peace treaty looking like. So, breaking it down, this country got independence, this country got a bunch of land, and the country that got independence also got a bunch of land. The Mediterranean country is pretty huge now. Libya is very tiny. Egypt got a lot of land from them. And West Africa is now basically at its origins. Is actually, I think, it's about how it used to look. It had this too, but, and I think some of this, but yeah, it's very crippled, and so aside from this, we see these three countries becoming neo-authoritarian, and this is to kind of try and reinforce neo-authoritarian foothold in Africa. They also are forced. Wait a second. never mind. They're also, these three are also forced to, these two are forced to join the military alliance of the neo-authoritarians, and it's quickly becoming pretty, pretty big, and it's definitely a rival of Rome's, and it's at this point that Norway and Finland will decide to disband their alliance and join Rome's. And this is how these alliances are looking. And, now we'll have a new member joining Rome's alliance, which is Egypt. And this is once again for protection against the neo-authoritarians. And, so tensions are building up like crazy. Troops are aiming guns on these borders, and they luckily have not yet been given the order to shoot, but it's definitely, tension is definitely growing over here, and it's time for us to look somewhere else. In this city in India, the former capital of the Lime Team, or Persindia, is going to erupt in rebellion, and neo-authoritarians have made their way to India as this rebellion is growing larger and larger by day, and it's going very fast, and they're making sure to take over all these cities, and the success is huge. And like I said, this rebellion is growing stronger, and they're having a huge success, and have cut this area off, and they're even starting to spread into this former Indian country. Let me make that a little lighter so you can tell the difference. Yeah, they're even starting to spread over here, and they've made their way to the capital, and they're kind of trying to overthrow the government, and this is very bad. They're now just going right through, taking these cities, and they will not go into this Persian country, however, but India is in a very big amount of trouble. They're going to start to push back, and their attempt is to retake the city, as they hope it will make the neo-authoritarians lose their hope and drive to win this war, and the Indians will push up against it, and a huge battle will take place in which the neo-authoritarians will come victorious, and a large portion of Indian troops are actually encircled in the city, and a very big bloody battle will take place. A smaller group of Indian troops will free them, but the city will be lost, as well as this one. And the Indians will now move over to try and retake the city again, and they will be successful, but not for long, as the neo-authoritarians try to encircle them, and Indian troops will have to draw back, and they'll fight and they'll battle for the city, but they will lose the battle and be forced into retreat. And their retreat will be very, very far back, as battles keep happening and they keep losing them. And the neo-authoritarians are getting closer and closer to India's capital. And on top of this, there's been an emergence over here of neo-authoritarians. They probably came from China. This is a short border. And so now these guys are just growing huge. Obviously it's kind of hard to fight over here. There's not a lot of fighting going on. There's no major cities. It's pretty much just mountains. But they now reach over and start taking cities. And it's very bad for India. And soon the rebellion spreads down here, and they will start taking city after city after city, and they will start just running through, and it's starting to not look so great for India. They will pull off a counteroffensive over here and chase the neo-authoritarians back, though. But the neo-authoritarians do hold a resistance over here, and they will push to try and disconnect this area, and they will be successful, and these Indian troops will start to flee to Bangladesh. Actually probably flee to the ocean, and probably go through this purple country, but they are pushed out, and some of them I'm sure will flee to Bangladesh. But the Indians will have a very good counteroffensive over here, retaking a lot of land, and it's good. But this country, the government has just been disposed of, and the country has completely collapsed. And now these guys are going out and spreading through the mountains, and they have now just connected, and they're now going into this peninsula and are steamrolling cities, and it's kind of a united front now, and India is left with their core areas, and they will pull off pretty much their last huge counteroffensive, going up and attempting once again to retake the city that they are so tied to, and in the battle they will lose a huge chunk of that invading army, and it will just begin a very quick retreat of the Indians all the way back to their core cities, and they will nearly lose their capital. They'll pull off another small counteroffensive, but this area has now just fallen, and they're now taking cities outside of the capital, and the government is ready to flee, but it seems that they cannot because they have just been encircled, and the Purs Indians will march into the capital and overthrow the government, and from here India has no ruler, and this yellow country is quick to try and take some land to preserve democracy in the region, but it seems as that is not possible because the rest of this Indian land will fall over to neo-authoritarianism, and there's a big standoff on this border, so we can see what's going to happen here. And this is what we see happening. And, Purs India is back. And with it, India no longer exists, and neither does their economical alliance. This will lead to this economical alliance to collapse. And, that's definitely hurting. Also, Orange Afghanistan, I don't know why, I do know why they're in this alliance. They will be leaving it, and actually, by them leaving it, I think it's just the gold country, and they're going to be leaving it too, because you can't have an alliance with yourself, and yeah, so that is what's happening. And yeah, one more neo-authority. I can't talk. One more neo-authoritarian country, and now Mesopotamia and Persindia are looking at each other, wondering what's gonna happen. But the green country over here is going to attempt to invade this yellow one. They're slowly regaining their strength, and they're having a lot of nationalism. And well, they just go ahead and encircle the city and rampage it. And they now just kind of go out and just attempt to take over any remaining major cities. And this country is just pretty weak, especially compared to this green country. The green country is still kind of weak, but the green country with a ton of nationalism. And that's something that's very hard to beat. And this country will eventually surrender, and we can look at this peace treaty. So this is what we have this looking like. And also, the new international order is going to go ahead and suspend some countries. And this is to kind of put the idea out there, like, that neo-authoritarianism is bad, and especially the expansionist ones. So the countries that have a red gear are the ones that are suspended. So right now it's just four, the four that have been very expansionist. And yes, that's definitely something to take note of. But at this point, another country will make a landing in the Panama Canal. It will be the Dutch Empire, and they will quickly take control of the area, and they will do actually much better than the Americans, but they do use similar tactics. They'll go around the Darien Gap, and yeah, southern Panama will fall extremely quickly, and the Dutch will go ahead and move out, cutting off sections and trying to get them to surrender. And this is a tactic we see them actually use quite a lot, kind of just doing kind of like what kind of looks like a spider web, and these sections will slowly surrender, and until the whole country will surrender, and we can see what this is going to look like. We see the Dutch taking over all of this land, and it separates this, and this land, well, they'll pretty much go anarchist, and well, that's not good. It'll go unclaimed, and so the Colombians will go ahead and move in and occupy it, and also claim it. And this is just that, to try and control it. And the rest of Central America will actually just split apart. And this is something that's never happened before, but it will completely split into 4 different countries. No one really knows the reason, but the Dutch are definitely expanding outside of Europe, and because the Romans won't let them expand inside of Europe, and well, kind of backfires as we see a new alliance created. We see this triangle alliance formed against all these countries near the Dutch. And this is strictly against the Dutch, That is very important. So yeah, do take note of that. But now we are heading down here where we see another thing happening. And that is the emergence of a new country over here that combines all three of these previous ones. And this is how this country is looking. But now we look for one final event where the Philippines will be joining Indonesia Unitaria. And this, I'm not really sure what to say about this. It's been, I feel like it should have happened earlier. Nope, we're not. Yeah, let's just erase the Philippines. Yeah, there we go. No, I'm just joking. But I feel like this should have happened earlier in the series. I just feel like, I mean, I know China did control the Philippines, but I feel like, I feel like they were kind of weak and they should have just joined the Unitarians, but they didn't, but now they are, so yeah. And like I said, that's going to be the final event of the video. Sorry, this is already pretty long, I think 30-some minutes, but yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.